A heavy burden feels lifted. I feel like now we can start trying to heal.
21-year-old New Boston woman was killed and her unborn baby abducted.
And I absolutely think that she got the punishment that she deserved today.
Defense attorneys suggesting someone else might be responsible for the murder of a New Boston mother and her unborn baby.
Taylor will have an automatic appeal to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals.
They went through the evidence and the law and felt that they had plenty of information.
Taylor Parker is on death row tonight, hours after a Bowie County jury sentenced her to die.
Homer Hancock was the last to take the stand today, and was what was already a difficult day of testimony for friends.
We don't have this over our heads. We know where she's going to be. We know where she's at.
In a chilling and harrowing case that shocked the nation, Taylor Parker, a 29-year-old woman, has been handed a demise sentence for the brutal and calculated slaying of her pregnant friend, Reagan Simmons Hancock. The horrifying events that transpired in 2020 culminated in a verdict that will see Parker on demise row, a stark reminder of the heinous nature of her actions. Reagan Simmons Hancock, a 21-year-old young woman, was the unsuspecting victim in this tragic tale of betrayal and violence. She and Taylor Parker had been friends, a bond that would eventually shatter in the most unimaginable way. 2020 was marked by a series of events that would forever alter the course of their lives. On the surface, their friendship appeared unremarkable, but lurking beneath was a sinister plot driven by Parker's desperation and deception. In a trial that gripped the community, the prosecution painted a horrifying picture of the events leading up to the slaying. Taylor Parker, driven by a fear of losing her boyfriend, embarked on a twisted and elaborate scheme to fake a pregnancy. Her determination to keep her partner led her down a dark path of deception, ultimately culminating in the unthinkable. Parker's deceit knew no bounds. She meticulously crafted a facade of pregnancy, complete with fake ultrasounds and even hosting a gender reveal party. These actions were part of her elaborate ruse, designed to convince her boyfriend that she was carrying their child. The extent to which she went to maintain this facade was nothing short of chilling. The fateful day of the slaying arrived, forever staining the lives of those involved. On this tragic day, Parker took her deception to a nightmarish level. Consumed by her obsession, she conducted intensive research on how to convincingly fake a pregnancy. She even watched a video on the physical examination of an infant delivered preterm at 35 weeks, all in a twisted bid to maintain her web of lies. Reagan Simmons Hancock and her husband, Homer, had unwittingly welcomed this predator into their lives. Taylor Parker, who had taken their engagement and wedding photos, had seemingly become a close friend. Little did they know that behind the friendly facade lay a person capable of unspeakable horrors.
21-year-old New Boston woman was killed and her unborn baby abducted.
I think obviously the experts would even agree that she just creates chaos where she goes.
The trial revealed the horrifying details of the crime scene, where Reagan Simmons Hancock met her tragic end. Prosecutors displayed a crime scene photo depicting Simmons Hancock soaked in blood on the floor, a stark reminder to the brutality of the slaying. She had not only been subjected to having her unborn baby forcibly ripped from her womb, but also endured numerous knife wounds and beatings. Prosecutor Kelly Crisp passionately argued for the demise penalty, asserting that Taylor Parker posed a grave danger to society. The gruesome and torturous circumstances of Reagan Simmons Hancock's demise left no room for leniency, and Crisp's plea for the maximum penalty resonated with the jury. In stark contrast, Taylor Parker's defense attorney, Jeff Harrelson, appealed for leniency. He argued that there were complexities and shades of gray in Parker's life, portraying her as a human who had been let down by friends and family who failed to confront her about the fake pregnancy.
Taylor will have an automatic appeal to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals.
Defense attorneys suggesting someone else might be responsible for the murder of a New Boston mother and her unborn baby.
And I absolutely think that she got the punishment that she deserved today.
The trial unfolded in a courtroom filled with grief-stricken family members. Jessica Brooks, the mother of the victim, addressed Taylor Parker in a heart-wrenching statement, labeling her an evil piece of flesh demon. She vividly described the torment her daughter had endured, fighting for her unborn child's life as Parker tore her open. In the end, the jury's swift deliberation, taking just over an hour, led to a verdict that sent shockwaves through the community. Taylor Parker was sentenced to demise, an ultimate punishment for a crime marked by unfathomable cruelty. As the courtroom proceedings came to a close, Judge John Tidwell delivered the somber sentence, ordering Taylor Parker to be taken to Demise Row. The sentence served as a stark reminder of the horrifying depths to which one person's deception and obsession can lead, leaving a young mother and her unborn child in their wake, forever haunted by the specter of violence. Fate of a pregnant woman and unborn baby. In the courtroom, the trial unfolded as a gripping narrative of betrayal and cruelty. Taylor Parker's conviction for capital slaying sent shockwaves through the community, highlighting the gruesome nature of the crime. The jury's unanimous verdict underscored the weight of the evidence presented by the prosecution. Reagan Simmons Hancock, a 21-year-old woman, was in the prime of her life when she tragically met her end. She had forged a relationship with Taylor Parker, a woman she believed to be trustworthy. However, behind this veneer of friendship lurked a sinister motive driven by Parker's fear of losing her boyfriend. As the trial progressed, it became clear that Parker's deception was both elaborate and deeply disturbing. Her desperate attempts to convince her partner that she was pregnant included manufacturing fake ultrasounds and staging a gender reveal party. These actions showcased the extent of Parker's commitment to her deceit. On the day of the slaying, Taylor Parker's deception took an even darker turn. In her quest to maintain the illusion of pregnancy, she had conducted extensive research on how to convincingly fake a pregnancy. This included studying a video on the physical examination of an infant delivered preterm at 35 weeks. Such meticulous planning demonstrated a chilling level of premeditation. Reagan Simmons Hancock and her husband, Homer Hancock, had welcomed Taylor Parker into their lives as a friend. The shocking revelation that someone they trusted could commit such a heinous act left the community in disbelief. Parker's role as a trusted friend made the betrayal all the more devastating. As the trial unfolded, the courtroom was filled with heartbroken family members, each grappling with the incomprehensible loss of a loved one. Jessica Brooks, the mother of the victim, confronted Taylor Parker in a gut-wrenching statement, describing her as an evil piece of flesh demon. She vividly portrayed the torment her daughter endured as she fought for the life of her unborn child while Parker brutally attacked her.
Investigators shared the evidence in day 9 of the Taylor Parker murder trial.
Former close friend of convicted killer Taylor Parker describes a heart-pounding encounter.
Throughout the proceedings, prosecutor Kelly Crisp passionately argued for the demise penalty, emphasizing the exceptional cruelty and danger posed by Taylor Parker. Crisp painted a horrifying picture of the crime scene, with Simmons Hancock soaked in blood and subjected to multiple injuries, including being beaten and knifed numerous times. In contrast, Taylor Parker's defense attorney Jeff Harrelson sought to portray his client as a complex individual let down by friends and family who failed to address her deception. Harrelson appealed for leniency, urging the jury to consider the shades of gray in Parker's life. Jury deliberates swiftly. In a courtroom marked by tension and gravity, the jury delivered a swift and decisive verdict in the case of Taylor Parker. Their deliberation, lasting just over an hour, concluded with the sentencing of Taylor Parker to demise. This rapid decision sent a clear and chilling message about the severity of the crime and the collective determination of the jury. The brevity of the jury's deliberation, while surprising to some, underscored the horrifying nature of the case. Taylor Parker had been found guilty of capital slaying, a charge reserved for the most heinous of crimes, and the evidence presented during the trial left little room for doubt. The prosecution had painstakingly detailed the gruesome and torturous circumstances surrounding the slaying of 21-year-old Reagan Simmons Hancock and the theft of her unborn child. The crime scene itself, with Simmons Hancock soaked in blood and subjected to multiple injuries, was a haunting reminder of the brutality of the act. Prosecutor Kelly Crisp had passionately argued for the demise penalty, highlighting not only the exceptional cruelty of the crime, but also the danger Taylor Parker represented to society. The prosecution's plea for the maximum penalty resonated with the jury, who seemingly wasted no time in reaching their decision.
Tough, lengthy case, factually and emotionally, for everybody involved.
Today, the jury saw a bloody and bruised Taylor Parker taken by police.
Grateful for the jury. I think their quick verdict was a testament to the strength of the case.
In contrast, Taylor Parker's defense attorney, Jeff Harrelson, had appealed for leniency, acknowledging the complexities and shades of gray in Parker's life. However, the jury's rapid verdict suggested that they saw the crime as an unforgivable act that warranted the harshest possible punishment. The swiftness of the decision left the courtroom in a somber and reflective mood, as the reality of the sentence settled in. Taylor Parker was ordered to be taken to Demise Row, a fate that would serve as a stark reminder of the gruesome depths to which her obsession and deception had led, leaving a young mother and her unborn child as tragic victims of a shocking act of violence. Victim's mother confronts slayer. Amidst the tense and emotionally charged courtroom proceedings, a poignant and heart-wrenching moment unfolded when Jessica Brooks, the mother of victim Reagan Simmons Hancock, confronted the convicted slayer, Taylor Parker, directly. In a powerful and searing address, Brooks did not hold back, denouncing Parker as an evil piece of flesh demon and expressing the profound pain of losing her daughter and her unborn grandchild. The courtroom fell silent as Jessica Brooks, her voice trembling with emotion, directed her words towards Taylor Parker. With raw and unfiltered grief, Brooks painted a vivid and devastating picture of the anguish she'd endured as a mother who had lost her child in the most horrifying manner. Addressing Parker as an evil piece of flesh demon was a stark and visceral condemnation of the heinous act that had taken place. It reflected the depth of Brooks's anguish and the searing anger she felt towards the person responsible for robbing her of her daughter and her future grandchild. Brooks's address went beyond words. It was a raw and unfiltered expression of the pain that had engulfed her and her family. It provided a poignant and unforgettable moment in the courtroom, one that underscored the profound and enduring impact of violent crime on the lives of the victims and their loved ones.
A heavy burden feels lifted. I feel like now we can start trying to heal.
The courtroom was packed with members of Reagan's family, and many of them broke down in tears as the verdict was read.
In her address, Brooks vividly described how her daughter had been alive and fighting for the life of her unborn child when she was brutally attacked and had her baby forcibly ripped from her womb. The description painted a haunting picture of the horrific events that had transpired and the unimaginable suffering Simmons Hancock had endured in her final moments. The courtroom, filled with family members and spectators, bore witness to the raw and unfiltered emotions of a mother grappling with an unthinkable loss. Jessica Brooks's address was a stark reminder of the human toll of such a heinous crime and showcased the resilience and courage of victims' families in the face of unimaginable tragedy. As the trial continued, the impact of Jessica Brooks's words resonated with those in attendance, serving as a powerful reminder that behind every legal proceeding, there are real lives shattered by violence and loss. Her address confronting the convicted slayer in court was a moment of profound catharsis and a poignant tribute to the memory of her daughter and grandchild. Gruesome details emerge. The 2020 slaying of pregnant woman Reagan Simmons Hancock unfolded as a nightmarish tragedy that shook the community to its core. The case revealed gruesome and horrifying details about the slaying, leaving an indelible mark on those who learned of the heinous act. Reagan Simmons Hancock met a tragic end that defied belief. The crime scene itself painted a chilling picture of brutality and terror. Her baby was forcibly removed from her womb, a grotesque act that left no room for doubt about the level of violence involved. In addition to the forced removal of her unborn child, she had suffered numerous injuries. She had been subjected to multiple knife wounds, beaten mercilessly, and her skull had been fractured in 5 different places. The extent of her injuries, combined with the sheer number of knife wounds, left a haunting and macabre scene for investigators to contend with.
I wanted to speak for our family and, let her know what we all felt. It's just how terrible.
The verdict comes after weeks of grueling testimony that shared horrific details about the crime.
She is the mother of the man prosecutors say Taylor Parker was trying to keep when she killed Reagan Hancock and cut her baby.
The details of the slaying sent shockwaves through the community, leaving residents in disbelief that such a gruesome and horrifying act could occur within their midst. It was a crime that transcended the bounds of comprehension, a stark reminder of the depths to which human cruelty could descend. The case stood as proof of the resilience of law enforcement and the justice system in the face of such unspeakable violence. It also underscored the importance of swift and thorough investigation to bring those responsible for such heinous acts to justice. As the trial unfolded, the community grappled with the trauma of the crime and the enduring pain felt by the victim's family. The details that emerged during the legal proceedings served as a stark reminder of the need for vigilance and support for victims of violence and their loved ones. In the end, the 2020 slaying of Reagan Simmons Hancock left a lasting scar on the community, a harrowing reminder of the capacity for darkness that can exist within the human psyche. It was a case that shook the collective conscience and served as a solemn call for justice and accountability in the face of unspeakable horror. Parker's deception, faking pregnancy. Taylor Parker's elaborate ruses to fake her pregnancy ultimately culminated in a series of horrifying events that left the community in shock and mourning. Parker's deception was nothing short of staggering. Driven by an overwhelming fear of losing her boyfriend, she embarked on an intricate and sinister scheme to convince him that she was carrying their child. Her deception was not limited to mere words. It extended to a web of elaborate lies and fabricated evidence. One of the most disturbing aspects of Parker's deception was her creation of fake ultrasounds, a deceitful act that showcased the extent of her commitment to her charade. These falsified medical documents were designed to provide irrefutable proof of her pregnancy and reinforce the illusion she had carefully crafted. In addition to fake ultrasounds, Parker went so far as to host a gender reveal party, a celebratory event typically reserved for expectant parents. This party was yet another layer of her deception, an attempt to convince her boyfriend and those around her that a baby was on the way. The tragic consequences of Parker's deception would unfold on a fateful day in 2020. On that day, her intricate web of lies and manipulation would give way to violence and horror. The slaying of Reagan Simmons Hancock, a young pregnant woman who had befriended Parker, was a shocking culmination of the deceitful charade. As the trial revealed, Parker's fear of losing her boyfriend had driven her to a point of no return. Her desperate attempts to maintain the illusion of pregnancy led to a chain of events that defied belief. Prosecution argues for maximum penalty. In a courtroom charged with tension and emotion, prosecutor Kelly Crisp delivered a compelling and impassioned argument for the maximum penalty in the shocking slaying case involving Taylor Parker. Crisp's plea for the demise penalty underscored the brutality of the crime and the profound and lasting impact it had on the victim's family. Throughout the trial, Crisp meticulously laid out the horrifying details of the case, leaving no room for doubt about the exceptional cruelty of the crime. The description of the crime scene, with Reagan Simmons Hancock soaked in blood, multiple injuries inflicted upon her, and the gruesome act of forcibly removing her unborn child, painted a chilling and unforgettable picture. Crisp's argument for the demise penalty was grounded in the belief that the nature of the crime demanded the harshest possible punishment. She emphasized not only the act of slaying, but also the terror and suffering endured by Simmons Hancock in her final moments. The prosecutor's impassioned plea resonated with those in the courtroom, conveying the gravity of the situation and the devastating impact on the victim's family.
They went through the evidence and the law and felt that they had plenty of information.
Taylor Parker still has no remorse for the killing of Reagan Hancock and kidnapping her unborn baby.
But we just pray every day that she gets what she deserves for what she did to Reagan and Braxton.
The prosecution's relentless pursuit of justice was fueled by a desire to ensure that Taylor Parker faced the consequences of her actions to the fullest extent of the law. Crisp argued that Parker's role in this heinous crime posed an ongoing danger to society, and the demise penalty was the only appropriate response to such an exceptional level of cruelty. As the trial continued, the courtroom witnessed the emotional toll the case had taken on the victim's family, who had endured the unimaginable loss of a loved one. Crisp's argument for the maximum penalty was a reflection of the deep sense of responsibility to seek justice for the victim and her grieving family. In the end, Crisp's passionate advocacy for the demise penalty served as a stark reminder of the extraordinary nature of the crime and the enduring pain it had inflicted. It was a plea that called for accountability and closure, acknowledging the profound impact of the crime while reaffirming society's commitment to justice in the face of such horrifying acts. Defense attorney appeals for leniency. Amidst the harrowing and tragic events of the trial, Taylor Parker's defense attorney, Jeff Harrelson, made a plea for leniency. In an emotionally charged courtroom, Harrelson acknowledged the complexities that had defined Parker's life and urged the jury to consider the various shades of gray in her actions. Harrelson's appeal for leniency was marked by a recognition of the multifaceted nature of Parker's life and circumstances. He argued that while the crime was undeniably heinous, it was essential to explore the layers and nuances that had shaped Parker's path and choices. Throughout the trial, Harrelson had contended that words can be used to dehumanize, suggesting that a more nuanced perspective was necessary to understand the full scope of Parker's actions. He emphasized the importance of acknowledging the humanity within even those who commit grave crimes.
So obviously we're disappointed with the outcome.
Today, in the trial of a Texarkana woman accused of killing a mother and cutting her unborn child from her womb.
We don't have this over our heads. We know where she's going to be. We know where she's at.
In his plea for leniency, Harrelson also pointed to the absence of a safety net for Parker when her life began to unravel. He argued that friends and family had failed to confront her about her fake pregnancy, leaving her in a vulnerable and isolated state. Harrelson's appeal for leniency introduced a dimension of empathy and compassion into a courtroom fraught with anger and grief. It urged the jury to consider the factors that had led Parker down a dark and destructive path, and to question whether there were opportunities for intervention that had been missed. While Harrelson's argument for leniency faced the formidable challenge of mitigating the horror of the crime, it served as a reminder that even in the most chilling and tragic cases, the pursuit of justice should encompass a comprehensive understanding of the human experience. Ultimately, the defense's appeal for leniency represented a call for a more nuanced and compassionate approach to the justice system, one that seeks not only to punish, but also to comprehend and address the complexities of human behavior, even in the face of the most shocking and heart-rending crimes. Parker convicted of capital slaying. In a case that sent shockwaves through the community, Taylor Parker was found guilty of capital slaying by the jury. The verdict came after a trial that had laid bare the chilling details of the crime scene, a sight so horrifying that it left an indelible mark on all who witnessed it. The crime scene painted a nightmarish picture of brutality and terror. Reagan Simmons Hancock, the victim, was discovered covered in blood, her body bearing multiple injuries that spoke to the heinous nature of the crime. The extent of her suffering and the gruesome details of her injuries left no doubt about the exceptional cruelty of the act. The jury's verdict of capital slaying carried grave implications for Taylor Parker. It signified not only her guilt, but also the acknowledgement that the crime had reached the threshold of the most severe charges under the law. Capital slaying, with its potential for the harshest penalties, underscored the gravity of the offense. The trial had been marked by emotional testimonies, graphic evidence, and a deep sense of sorrow for the victim and her family. As the jury deliberated and reached their verdict, the weight of the crime and the pursuit of justice hung heavily in the courtroom. The conviction of Taylor Parker for capital slaying was proof of the dedication of law enforcement, the prosecution, and the justice system in seeking accountability for such heinous acts.
We all hoped it was coming to that. We weren't for sure, but we hoped it was coming to that.
Taylor Parker is on death row tonight, hours after a Bowie County jury sentenced her to die.
I think she has been very difficult for the jail staff here in Bowie County.
In my opinion, she deserves death. The same thing that she did to my niece and the baby girl.
It was also a reflection of the collective determination to ensure that those responsible for the most shocking and heart-rending crimes faced the full force of the law. As the trial progressed, the community grappled with the trauma of the crime and the enduring pain felt by the victim's family. The conviction served as a step toward closure and justice in the face of unspeakable horror. In the end, the jury's verdict of guilty for capital slaying was a solemn acknowledgement of the exceptional severity of the crime and a commitment to holding the perpetrator accountable for the suffering and tragedy that had unfolded on that fateful day. Judge sentences Taylor to ending row. In a solemn and definitive moment that marked the culmination of a long and harrowing legal process, Judge John Tidwell delivered a sentence of demise to Taylor Parker. With unwavering determination, the judge formally imposed the most severe penalty, ordering Parker to be taken to demise row. This sentence came as a result of her role in a heinous crime that had left a young mother and her unborn child lifeless, a tragedy that had shocked the community to its core. Judge Tidwell's pronouncement of the demise penalty was a weighty decision that carried profound consequences. It signaled the court's unwavering commitment to ensuring that justice was served in the face of unspeakable horror and suffering. The sentence of demise was a solemn acknowledgement of the gravity of Parker's actions and the enduring pain inflicted upon the victim's family and the community at large. It was a reflection of society's determination to hold individuals accountable for the most horrific and heartrending crimes.
Homer Hancock was the last to take the stand today and was what was already a difficult day of testimony for friends.
So I'm very thankful that they saw the evidence the way that the state did.
Jurors in the Taylor Parker capital murder trial heard some of Parker's jail calls today.
Testimony comes as the penalty phase continues.
Jury heard from Taylor Parker herself when her police interview videos were played.
Taylor Parker's journey to demise row was a somber and solemn moment in the legal process, a moment that marked the end of one chapter while ushering in another. Her fate had been sealed, and she would now face the consequences of her actions as determined by the court. As Parker was ordered to be taken to demise row, the courtroom bore witness to the profound and enduring impact of her crimes. The victim's family, who had endured unimaginable loss, found a measure of closure in the judge's decision. Judge John Tidwell's sentencing was a reminder that the justice system would not waver in its pursuit of accountability and closure for the victims of heinous crimes. It shows the enduring commitment to upholding the principles of justice, even in the face of the most chilling and tragic circumstances. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.